Ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to have the opportunity to address you today as part of this cross-community delegation of women from Northern Ireland. You will know from our bios that it is a coming together of people from both communities in Northern Ireland. Such is the importance of this matter. In recent days, we have been very disturbed to see the way in which some parliamentarians here in Westminster, who do not represent Northern Irish constituencies, have taken it upon themselves to become the voice of Northern Irish women. They have taken on to represent people whom they have never spoken to, never gauged opinion from, and never stood before in an election. Our message today is one of love and compassion. It goes to the very core of who we are and the unequivocal love, dignity and respect we have for the unborn baby and mum. In our eyes, both lives really do matter. Whilst admittedly the pro-termination lobby would appear to have a booming voice, we are here to speak and campaign for the silent majority, the quiet, softly spoken majority of people within Northern Ireland who care about the life of the unborn. We are here to put forward the story and the voice of hundreds of thousands of people who support our life-affirming law. Whilst we are not claiming to represent every woman in Northern Ireland today, we would suggest humbly that we speak with credibility and are articulating the views of those that speak with us on a daily basis. On a personal basis, I have noted a real fear within communities that these self-appointed spokespeople from other parts of the UK who want abortion on demand in Northern Ireland in no way speak for the majority of Northern Ireland. In reality, what we have witnessed are English, Scottish and Welsh MPs scurrying to try and find an opportunity to change our laws through Westminster, where over 97% of legislators don't represent Northern Ireland. As all we ask is that our electoral mandate is respected and the same Parliament which devolved these powers to the Northern Ireland Assembly allow democracy to take its course. Many of the same people are vocal in the EU, having too much say over UK laws. The decision not to embrace the 1967 Abortion Act was made by the then Parliament of Northern Ireland, and the decision was respected from the implementation of direct rule in 1972 until devolution, and then in 2009 the matter was formally devolved. The Westminster Parliament cannot reach into Northern Ireland to change the law on abortion, a law that has been determined from Northern Ireland since 1967, without it having very severe political consequences, which some people who do not understand the complexities of Northern Ireland's political seem to blissfully be ignorant of. Of course, as an MLA, I am painfully aware that at the moment the Northern Ireland Assembly is not functioning. But that does not change the fact that the democratically elected Northern Ireland Assembly, 100% of whose MLAs represent Northern Ireland, fully debated this matter in 2016 and voted not to change the law in any way. That actually means that Northern Ireland's abortion law has the most recent democratic mandate of that of any abortion law in the United Kingdom. Now, in looking at this proposal, I want to engage directly some of the misinformation that those looking for an opportunity to change our law are promoting. The first suggestion is that Westminster must intervene because this is a human rights issue. That simply does not stand up to scrutiny. If abortion itself was a human rights issue that must be set centrally, the policy competence would never have been devolved to Northern Ireland and Scotland. The fact that it has means that there has been an acceptance that the approach to devolution can diverge across the UK. When we get beyond that, the point is then made that the Supreme Court has ruled that Northern Ireland law is not human rights compliant. There are, however, two problems with this argument. First, the relevant part of what the judges said was obiter dicta, non-binding opinion, and indeed is not set out with the kind of rigour one would expect with respect to a binding judgment. It would therefore be wrong to treat what was said as it being a binding judgment. Second, the scope for a full and binding judgment now rests on a case concerning so-called fetal abnormality, but this only relates to a tiny number of potential abortions. If the court was to rule that there is a right to abortion in this context, and if that ruling was binding, it would only pertain to a tiny number of abortions. It would not fundamentally change Northern Ireland's approach to abortion. Those who want Westminster to impose a change in the law on Northern Ireland by deleting sections 58 and 59 of the Offences Against the Persons Act would have no justification for making such a move on this basis whatsoever. The point is then made that what those agitating for change, that repealing sections 58 and 59 of the Offences Against the Persons Act would not decriminalise abortion because section 45 of the Criminal Justice Act, Northern Ireland, 1945 would remain and only allows abortion to save the life of the mother. Section 45 of the Criminal Justice Act, Northern Ireland, 1945, however, only protects babies from the point of viability. Removing section 58 and 59 of the Offences Against the Person Act would open up the door to abortion on demand for absolutely any reason up to at least 24 weeks. It would constitute a massive change and would mean that Northern Ireland would have a far more radical abortion law than Great Britain does today. Then the point is made, well, this isn't about Northern Ireland, it's about changing the law for the whole of the United Kingdom. Well, I'm sorry, it is about Northern Ireland, because if the proposed change in the law was made, it would fully impact Northern Ireland, where it would have a far more radical impact because of our not having the 1967 Act. It would moreover demonstrate a total disregard for our history and identity, and the fact that on 2 occasions devolved legislators have considered the matter, be it in the Parliament of Northern Ireland and the Northern Ireland Assembly. The view has been taken that we do not want to change our law in any way. If Westminster MPs believe that their constituents want them to disapply the section 58 and 59 in England, then they can do so, but don't do it in Northern Ireland. In this context, I am pleased that the government has made it clear that it will not bring forward any such initiative, but they need to go further. They need to protect the integrity of the free vote on abortion by applying it only to parliamentarians representing constituencies that would be directly impacted by the change in question. English and Welsh MPs should have a free vote on their abortion law, Scottish MPs should have a free vote on their abortion law, and Northern Irish MPs should have a free vote on their abortion law. The government should not accept those GB MPs who want to change the Northern Ireland law from the backbenches and claiming that they, more than 97% of which do not represent Northern Ireland, should have a free vote to change the law in Northern Ireland against the long-established traditions of Northern Ireland. To allow a free vote in this context, an approach that is generally felt open the door to wider ethical considerations, would be to demean the very nature of a free vote. So our encouragement is for you today to remain faithful to this being a devolved issue within Northern Ireland. Thank you.